Barry, you've seen the first segment.
Yes, right.
What are your feelings on that?
I'm wondering when the wisdom's going to come in. I haven't heard anything very wise, nothing that I wouldn't have heard from a cab driver or a bartender so far.
Well, what about this wisdom and knowledge? Obviously, we understand the time restrictions of a live television program, but I mean, what can you tell us that the cab driver or the bartender can't tell us?
Hopefully nothing, for the cab driver and the bartender are also divinely accessed. The wisdom that you are seeking that would be more beneficial for your intellectual stimulation can be found, however, when it would be that you might take the time to encounter yourselves in my audience for a longer duration of time. If it is you'd like me to extrapolate for the next hour on quantum physics, or extrapolate for the next hour on that which would serve humanity and solve the problem of the meaning of life, and bump all of your other guests, I would be happy to do that as well.
We don't have the time, of course, but well, but that's
understood.
Okay, and one of the rules of the game. But quite clearly, in terms of credibility, it would be much easier if you could simply say, here's an example of my wisdom, of my power, and then you wouldn't have just a couple of hundred people at your seminar, but you'd have a couple of million people.
I will give you the credibility of my wisdom. I love you, and you are my father, and that is the greatest that I have to offer entity.
Barry, what is the difference in what we're seeing here and what you've seen down through the ages?
What we're seeing here strikes me. I don't understand how an entity who's lived 17 times before has to speak in a staged Jewish accent with a script that sounds like it came out of a 1950s biblical epic from Hollywood. I mean, it's just nonsense. Where's this wisdom? I'd like to hear a bit about quantum physics because I know a bit about that, but we won't waste the time here. I just don't, I honestly don't believe how people could fall for this sort of rubbish.
You know, the truth is, mankind is seeking the recognition of itself, and mankind finds that through many ways. One of the ways is by attempting to invalidate life, and another way is those who seek to validate life. I extrapolate on the possibility that life is the existence of God. In other words, that which you are seeking from me now to rise to the occasion, my great brother, the manner in which I shall rise to the occasion is to tell you that there's a possibility you are right. I could be nothing more than a brilliant actress. And there's a possibility that I am right, and I am what I say I am. And whether that matters to you at all is of the significance to which is your own evolution. That which is called the script, as you call it, I understand such humiliating mannerisms on the part of a skeptic. It is your job to do your best to find a lack of credibility here. I have not come on your television show to be found credible. I have come, having been asked, because it is my assertion that you are my father, that in your lifetime you will find that which is called the second coming of your Christ consciousness, and that will avail you to the opportunity to find out that deep within you there is a God that loves you, therefore validating all things. And how can that be proven? It can only be experienced through a feeling.
I guess that 17 lifetimes must make you extraordinarily long-winded, Ray, I've got to say that.
What can you tell us that our priests or our pastors or our philosophers can't tell you? Why do we need you to come back, MAFU?
Well, I think that the difference between what is occurring in your fundamental religions, whether it is Catholicism or Christianity and on, is that the basic principle of the message that the Jesus Christ brought, the Muhammad, the Krishna, has been lost through the idiom of human ego. And that is that man is divinely accessed. There is a capability for divine understanding within all humans to achieve the Christ consciousness, for the soul and the human mind to merge and to transcend to a more cosmic, as it is colloquialized now, or divine access, in which man walks as God, in which there is a culmination of the human experience into the Christ consciousness experience. And so we utilize the wisdom I bring, which is meditation and whatnot, to achieve or attain an uplifting of the pain and the degradation that occurs in one's lifetime, to allow the illumination or enlightenment of the wisdom a human possesses to greater realms.
Yeah, I'd go along with all of that. I don't understand a word of it, but I do a bit of channeling myself, actually, with a bit of wisdom in it. I'll channel Albert Einstein for you right now, if you don't mind.
Right.
E equals MC squared. Notice he uses my voice because he's using my vocal cords. He doesn't go to a funny, stagey voice. But that's probably the wisest thing that's been said on the program today, apart from what John Mortimer said, of course.
What do you offer then in a weekend or so of a seminar? What do you offer those who pay money and come along?
Those masters, whether they pay money and come along or just come along.
But they must pay money.
Not all of them. It is a donation thing. It is whether or not they choose to accommodate the possibility of exchanging gold or not.
But hang on a moment. I mean, if 200 people decided to come along to your seminar this weekend and said, look, I don't want to pay money, but I want to come along, would they all be let in?
But of course.
All of them?
Why wouldn't they be?
Okay. Interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yes. In what is called the understanding of wisdom, methodologies or techniques for meditation, techniques for self-evaluation, for enhancing one's experience in one's life, hopefully to go beyond the density of the human expression in pain and in self-judgment and in anger and in validation, to permit one to credit oneself into a higher, more godly realm of self-love and self-validation. I don't come to be made a god. That is why I've come in this manner, because I leave. I come that the wisdom that is received is utilized when I go. Do you understand? It would make no sense for me to come in any other format. At least I would create a cult following, and you have plenty of decadent cult followings on your planet.
All right, then briefly, predictions. I mean, make a prediction for us.
I predict, entity, that when you leave this lifetime, you will have an opportunity to encounter that which is called the true nature of what you are, that you are God.
It's not a huge prediction, is it? I mean, you tend to make that prediction. I saw one of the American programs. You tend to make that prediction with everyone.
Well, unfortunately for you, apparently unfortunately for me, I deal with the basic truth that
but
God
do you tell everyone that everyone who, when they leave this world, they're going to become a god?
No.
They don't? Oh.
Not everyone.
Am I going to become a god?
In some point in your evolution, Master, all of God exists as you. There is only one God, of which you are an aspect and the whole, and therefore you shall have their recognition at some point, once you let go of how angry you are that the whole of mankind...
Angry at all. I find it quite amusing.
All right, well, we leave it there. MAFU's dates, May the 24th, 26th and 27th in Melbourne at the Regent International Hotel, if you have the money. Otherwise, just turn up. May the 31st, June the 2nd and the 3rd in Sydney at the Gazebo Ramada. May the 31st, June the 2nd and the 3rd. And if you would like to channel and at least find out a little more about that, then that's the time you can catch MAFU. We thank you for your time. Very much indeed. Barry, we thank you as always. Back to this plane with Simon Burke next.